From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine on a Friday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Time to wrap up the year and end it, see where we've been, where we're going. Bud Shaw, WKYC.com. Hello, Bud.
Hey, Les. You know, during the holidays, it's hard to keep track of days. They all feel like a Friday to me.
Well, for our purposes, it's Friday night.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You want to ruin the curtain of the show and tell them it may not quite be that. Dave Bacon straightens us out, gets us the right day. What is today?
Today's Friday.
Exactly.
I always work on Friday. You're the only one that doesn't work on
Thank God
Friday.
it's Friday. No question about it. Mike Domanick is over here. He's back in our radio days on WHK. We used to have these sports professionals. At that time, he was a young sports professional. Not so young anymore. Hi, Michael.
Hello. Nice to see everyone.
Nice to see you. All right. Let's start wrapping up the end of the year. By the way, we're at Buffalo Wild Wings on Harvard Road. That's right at I-271. Great place, and Colleen takes good care of us, and we appreciate it very much as we end out the year. So we'll start out, Bud. Let's talk. Let's just to make it easier and get this off our plate, so to speak. Let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll be the only ones to do
we
that,
have to
so let's do it anyway.
We really have to start there?
Well, are you seeing anything? You know, they put up spurts, win a couple of games against teams they should win, and they get blown out by the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think where they are right now, you should probably put more stock in these games against teams that are on their level than against teams like Milwaukee or Philly or those other teams.
Right.
So I'm still somewhat encouraged by the young guards. They might not end up playing together, you know, when this team is good, if this team gets good. But some of these guys can play, and it's just going to take them a while.
Dave Bacon, you share those thoughts?
It's hard to talk about the guys that are on the team. I like what I see from their new head coach. I think Beeline ended up being a pretty good hire, and I like the fact that he's willing to let people know when he doesn't get what he wants from them, and he's going to have to be doing a lot of that for a few years.
I'm surprised that he wanted to come here and do that, but he's seemingly holding on right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's change over to football. Mike Domanick has been a lifelong fan of the Cleveland Browns. Mike, this is one more
I'm
game.
sorry, Mike.
It's okay.
He's sorry, but despite that, just a general overall feeling of what has happened here this year.
Oh, boy. How much time do we have?
He just ordered a drink. That's a bad sign.
I guess the question I have for everybody is, what's going to be the state of the football team here on Tuesday next week, and the direction of the team, and that's really going to dictate, where we're going, where we're going in the future, and where things are. And if I could make a prediction, I think we'll be looking for a new coach on Tuesday.
Yeah. Or before that, you guys agree or disagree? Dave, start with you.
I'm not so sure. And I heard it put best by a national radio guy today. I don't even remember who it was. Said if I polled 100 people who are involved in the NFL right now, random people, scouts, personnel guys that are football guys, told them you have your choice of Ron Rivera, Mike McCarthy, or Freddie Kitchens. 0 of them are going to choose Freddie Kitchens. And if that's the case, why do you have him as head coach?
Well, I guess the question would be how good would be McCarthy and how good would Rivera be?
You're missing the point. Football people aren't going to let you have Freddie Kitchens, or aren't going to say of those 3, if you're assuming those are the 3 you can get.
Right.
Nobody is choosing
Freddie
Kitchens.
I don't think that's a surprise at all, Bud.
No, I mean, I guess if we take a step back from it, maybe we should look at our own expectations for this team. What did you have them pick before the season?
10-6.
10-6. I think
making the playoffs.
I picked similar record.
Yeah, I did too. But aside from the record,
I agree.
It's how they got there.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing, and that's what I think Dorsey is going to have to look at. My question is, who's going to steer the get rid of Freddie Kitchens movement? Is it going to be the Haslams, who have shown through the Hugh Jackson years that if they like a coach, they're probably going to give him the benefit of the doubt? Or is it going to be a guy who hired Freddie Kitchens and must have known that there was going to be growing pains? And I'm not excusing some of the stuff Freddie's done this year. I think it's been pretty damning. But I'm just saying, if you're Dorsey, what did you expect? You put a guy in charge who never had coached above position coached until last year for 3 months.
And he's going to be your offensive coordinator and play caller. We'll get back to that a little bit later. I want to just get an overall capsule of the Cleveland Indians. the big question, of course, is what happens to Francisco Lindor. I think we all know what happens. We don't know when it's going to happen. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, the thing is, and I know everybody's upset that they may be trading Francisco Lindor. Any team that has given a guy a huge contract, it hasn't worked out well. I mean, Bryce Harper. I mean, now even Mike Trout, Pujols before.
Well, they get you a couple of years out of it, but they don't
take
the whole thing through.
But they've never won championships. And how do you tie up, $400 million in a guy that, if you really want to, you pitch around and you don't make him a big factor?
Yeah. Mike, what do you think? Francisco Lindor or with the direction of the Indians?
Well, I tell you, it's like a common theme over and over. We get these once-in-a-lifetime players, or just and we can't keep them. I'd love to see them do it, but I don't know how we can, with the economics the way they are, that we can as much as I'd like to. But you're right. I think he's going to go. I think we're going to be looking for another. Maybe we can get something for him in a trade, but I just don't see how we keep him.
Les, I think that's one of the reasons that fans are kind of disenchanted with the Indians. Is it's happened over and over again. Every time a guy gets to that point where you got to give him a contract, the Indians can't do it.
Cliff Lee, CC Sabathia.
Yeah, and so I think fans are just kind of done with it. Even though the waves come through and they're pretty good players and they develop them, and it's always the sense of, well, when they get to be superstar status, they're going to be moving on.
But isn't that common throughout all of baseball? The Indians aren't the only ones.
If you were going to make a defense of the Dolans on that issue, you could argue that when they were packing the place and Albert became a free agent, they didn't keep him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had the attendance back then to afford more of these kind of, generational kind of talents. Now, maybe it was partly Albert's attitude and the behavior that led them to make that decision, but it hasn't been specific. Dick Jacobs never operated at a loss.
Right.
He
People
was very
forget
proud of that, and he would tell you that at every turn. So I know some people feel that Dolans are making money. They're just not, they're not investing it in the team. But I think overall, I wouldn't sign Frankie Lindor for $400 million.
No, they would never.
And
I think he's just
he's a great player.
A joy to watch.
Absolutely.
I wasn't defending the Dolans. I was making the point. I think that's why fans aren't talking Indians, because they're sick of that aspect of it.
No,
I look at it, and people call me an apologist for it, but I look at it that's baseball, and they got to fix baseball before you fix the individual franchises. I want to come back to that and a whole lot more, but we also will come back to what I want to talk about now for a couple of minutes, and that is I got some good news. Can you think of some good news?
No.
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Ohio State, 2-point underdogs, surprisingly enough, to the defending NCAA champion, but they got a chance. Ohio State has a chance tomorrow night to get rid of that defending champ, and hopefully go on to play LSU or Oklahoma.
Ohio State aside, I have made a list of Cleveland highlights from sports highlights from 2019.
Good to see you put a lot of work into that.
Yeah. Wow, that's it, huh?
What would you put on there?
Is there going to be a chance of what from this year?
We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm thinking Jack Benny. I'm thinking it over. All right, so you've got Ohio State. They're not going to disappoint us, are they, Dave?
Clemson's been playing really well since late September. And
no matter which high school team they play.
Well, they feel really disrespected. So you're going to meet a
team that's won 28 in a row.
they were the third seed. Yeah. They've won their last 9 games by an average of 35 points. They've scored an average of 51 in their last 9. So their offense is playing well. But the thing that sticks out about Ohio State is Ryan Day's been the antithesis to Freddie Kitchens. There's a first-time head coach that
winning everything,
knocked it out. Did not allow for what had happened with the letdown at certain times with the Buckeyes.
But a friend of mine, a big sports fan, pointed this out yesterday that, and whether it's Urban Meyer or Freddie or Ryan Day, they walk into the when they walk onto that field, if there was paper to grade them on paper, they just have more talent than the other time, 9 out of 10 times. So you figure that's going to be 9 wins right there, and then you battle against Michigan or Penn State or whoever. So while it is the antithesis, it's also different in another way, and that is who they're playing and what they have to play with.
Well, I agree, and we'll find out, that they're not going to have significantly more talent for the first time
this year
when they walk on the field with Clemson.
Right.
But he hasn't allowed the letdown that has happened the last couple of years, and I think that's what's impressive.
Yeah, they haven't scraped by those teams that have less talent.
Right.
They've done what they were supposed to
And,
do.
and there was there was the first half in the Big Ten championship game that was not good.
Yeah.
But boy, he corrected that in a hurry at halftime.
And they were down 5-0 to Miami of Ohio.
Who turned out pretty good, by the way.
Kluber hung a couple of curveballs in the.
As did Cincinnati. All right, we want to talk about Ohio State. We want to talk about the Browns, the Indians, and the Cavaliers. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings on Harvard Road at I-271. And Bud Shaw is with us, Dave Bacon, Mike Domanick. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This segment of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct with 3 locations, east, west, and south, and of course, northeastfactorydirect.com. Mike Domanick is a former sports professional. He was a former young sports professional, or young Frankenstein, but he got older.
What kind of schooling do you have to go through to become a young professional?
Professional school.
Oh. All right.
As opposed to amateur school.
I see.
Dave Bacon, did you go to school anywher?
John Carroll.
There
you go.
Excuse me.
Right up the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, Bud, your schooling.
I went to Indiana.
No, you did not.
University of Pennsylvania.
There you go.
The one that no one has ever heard of.
Exactly. Bob Knight did a great job coaching that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
All right, we talked about Ohio State. Can this train continue throughout the rest of this year and into next year and way into the beyond, Mike? I mean, Dave?
It can. I don't necessarily know that it will. Again, Ryan Day, first recruiting class, 3rd in the country. So that's the other thing that's been impressive is he's continued to get national recruits, not just the guys in the region. He's getting, the top-ranked guys at positions, which I thought would end once Urban Meyer stepped down. We'll see if it tails off, but first year out of the box was pretty good.
All right, you guys are great understanders of the game of football. This guy actually played at Florida State. Or did you make that up?
I went to the Les Levine School of Communication. That's why I'm on this show.
So everything you say is loosely based on fact?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's based on fact.
All right, what do you see when you see Ohio State?
Well, first of all, I think the most important thing, you see why that number 1 seed would have been so important to not have to play Clemson. I think the Clemson quarterback is probably better than 50% of the quarterbacks in the NFL. And just an interesting thing to throw out as an aside, if our quarterback continues to regress here in Cleveland, this guy's available for a top pick, not this year, next year. I don't know, I mean, this guy, he's really a once-in-a-lifetime talent. I think it's going to be a very close game. The Clemson defense is very, very strong. Their offense is hitting on all cylinders, and the talent gap you mentioned before for Ohio State is not going to be like it has been for the rest of the season. Same thing for Clemson, though. I think it's going to be one of those games that's going to come down to the end, and it really is a coin flip. Either way, either one of these two teams could win. So.
All right, let's.
Were you surprised at all to see it? Not that 2 points either way is a major deal, but were you surprised to see Ohio State as an underdog in this game?
Well, first of all, I'm not familiar with betting lines,
yeah.
So I know nothing about that kind of stuff. But having said that,
apparently he does.
Yeah, not that I would engage in that activity. No, not really. I figured it was going to be about 1 or 2 points either way. But I think that if I would give Clemson one edge, is as great as Ryan Day has been doing, Clemson's been there and done that.
Yeah.
And when you beat Alabama by, I think, almost 40 like they did last year, that's a statement.
That's high space, no question about it.
Well, the other thing is quarterback is back. It was the same starting quarterback.
Right.
Who's
right.
a year more experienced.
Dave Bacon has done extensive research into this Clemson. Do they still have the tiger paws instead of yellow lines on the street? Anybody know?
I have not been to Spartanburg recently.
So
down
apparently apparently the research has not been that extensive.
Oh, well, just wait. We'll show you how extensive it's been.
All right, let's tell us what the Buckeyes will be facing on Saturday night.
Well, again, we had alluded to it. This is a team in Clemson that back in September had a 1-point game against North Carolina. They ended up winning, and they probably should have lost that game. Since then, they've scored 50 or better. They haven't allowed a team to score more than 20 points all season long. So the defense is very good. The offense is really putting up points. When you look at what they do, they run the spread offense. They're an athletic team. They'll be the most athletic team that the Buckeyes have faced. They like to do bubble screens and slants. The reason they do that is because they want to get their speed and athleticism in space and make you tackle them. And that's something that's going to be important. Buckeyes are going to have to tackle well. They also are very good at identifying mismatches. When they identify them, they'll up-tempo it so you can't make the changes defensively, and they'll keep going to that mismatch. Their running back is a guy, Travis Etienne, and he has run for 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns. Their quarterback, who we alluded to, Trevor Lawrence, started last year as a freshman. Quick release, strong arm, did not have a good start to the season. And that's why the numbers are even more impressive, and it shows you how he has played as of late. Over 3,000 yards passing, 34 touchdowns, and most of that has come since that close game against North Carolina where they won 21-20 back on September 28th.
Also, he started out the season as a Heisman Trophy favorite.
Well, based on what he did last year in the national championship game, and was kind of a presumptive #1 pick overall. That's kind of, he's not eligible for the draft, but people were thinking if he came out, he would be the top pick in the draft. Strong arm, size that people like, athletic enough. I mean, he's going to be tough to deal with. When you look defensively at Clemson, they have the Butkus Award winner, linebacker, in Isaiah Simmons. He's a converted defensive back that they put at linebacker, and he won the award as the best linebacker in college football. Play a 3-4 hybrid, and they like to blitz and get after it. Again, as I mentioned, haven't allowed more than 20 points in any game this year. They allowed 20 in that 1-point win against North Carolina. 3-4, high risk, high reward. They'll blitz a lot. If they find somebody they think they can get after, they'll get after it. And you see the schedule. ACC not the greatest, but after that 1-point win against North Carolina, where they probably should have lost that game, to be honest with you. And North Carolina, is a decent team, but not great. They haven't played a great schedule, but their margin of victory since that North Carolina game, 31-35, 52, 45-45, 49-35, 45 against Virginia in the ACC championship game. So they have been scoring 51 points a game over their last 9 points.
You got to believe Ohio State could do the
Their next
same
game.
if they wanted to. They called out the dogs quite a bit.
Perhaps, but the fact that they've done
They
it
did it.
is a concern.
Yeah, they're the national champs, and they come back with that kind of schedule and those kinds of wins.
And Dabo Swinney's a really good coach,
No question, and a really rich one.
as he should be.
Bud, what do you think?
I think Dave
this
made a
was,
great-
This was in fact in-depth coverage by Dave.
It was, and Dave made a great point earlier about this team. He has convinced them that they're just being totally disrespected.
Yep.
And that if they had suffered a loss along the way, that they would not even have been invited. So whether that's true or whether it just gives him something to talk about, it does matter in games like this.
It started with the very first college football playoff ranking. I believe they were 6th.
Yeah. Yep.
And he went on a rant that it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you think Dabo was called Freddie Kitchens to get some advice on what the pregame talk?
I didn't see shovel pass on Dave's list of
I hope
things
we
that
never
they like
see
to do.
We
so.
must get rid of shovel pass from our vocabulary.
It might only be for a pregame meal if he has spoken
Right.
with Freddie Kitchens.
All right.
Can we
Mike-
also add halfback pass?
Yeah. Right. And then say I would still go for it. I fourth down. Mike, you heard the discussion, offense, defense. I've said all year that Ohio State has had some great offenses and some great defenses. I don't remember them having the two put together to come up with a team. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I guess, the one thing that I would throw into the discussion here is Justin Fields' health. I think he came out the other day saying he was 80 to 85%. Is that good enough to get the job done against an elite team? Maybe. But again, I don't, they haven't played a team like Clemson before. So, again, it's very close. This is going to be a very close game. You got great athletes. I mean, look where Clemson is really strong. ATN is a great player. Their receivers are unbelievable. But Ohio State has great defensive backs. So and Clemson's offensive line better than last year. Their defensive line, which lost all their guys, 3 of them went in the first round, but their defensive line is still very good. So it really is. It's one of those things that could go either way.
If you notice how the NCAA has set the Ohio State-Clemson game up as the 8 o'clock game as opposed to 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock being the prime time, are you surprised that 2 versus 3 would be prime time?
I think that's a great matchup. I really do. And in the shallow research that I did, I would like to add, I think Lawrence has now gone something like 169 passes without an interception, which ties a record that he set earlier last year. So
He needs to talk to Baker Mayfield about that. See how he could change that stat.
It's kind of interesting. Everybody's kind of dismissing Oklahoma, the 4 seed.
Sure.
Keep in mind, the guy that's playing quarterback for them, Jalen Hurt, played in the national championship game a couple of times.
Right.
So he's a guy that you've got experienced quarterback play, and close games, that means a lot. That's why I could see the case being made for Clemson being a 2-point favorite, because their quarterback's been there, done that. Ohio State's has.
The other thing is that I think based on these teams and these quarterbacks, I think this is the best matchup in the years. When did they start? 04 did they start? I think this is the best matchup they've ever had as far as the playoff is concerned.
remember when you used to be able to, people said, whether it was a myth or not, they would always say when Ohio State got to this level, they never had the speed to compete with some of the SEC teams. That's not the case anymore.
No.
And hasn't been probably.
And
for
they're
a few
loaded
years.
with a variety of guys.
Yeah.
You can't say let's shut down this one guy because somebody else can beat you easily.
I think Urban Meyer kind of
Changed that.
changed that in a hurry. I saw that as a guy who played them from the SEC and said, we need to upgrade speed. And,
Yeah.
it's going to be very interesting. I think what Mike said is going to be the truth. It's going to come down to either turnovers or somebody's going to make a play that you wouldn't expect them to make later. I think it's going to be a close game.
Well, when you say that, I think of Maurice Claret just stealing the ball and going the other way with it, and I think you're absolutely right. This is going to be entertaining. I think both games are going to be entertaining. And I know there's arguments that by the number 4 and 5 team that maybe you should expand it. I don't think so. I think it works itself out, and you get the best teams playing at their prime level without adding an extra game.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I think if you add too many teams, it waters it down to the point that you don't want to do that. If you're going to do that, you need to go to the lower division where you have a full playoff.
Right.
And just do away with the Bulls.
Yeah. I don't think you want to do that. Northeast Factory Direct, the place to go. 3 locations, east, west, and of course to the south, which is Macedonia. You're going to pay, less than half price for everything in the store, and even way lower than that. Check out their kitchen cabinets, check out their bedding and their bedroom sets, and you're not going to find anything better. And if you do, you're going to still get it for less than half price at Northeast Factory Direct. Northfield Park, your place for live and simulcast racing. You see the days right there. 6 p.m. is the post time. Live and simulcast. Simulcast starts at noon with the best tracks all over the country, and free parking, free admission every day at Northfield Park. We'll come back in a moment. We are at Buffalo Wild Wings on Harvard at I-271. Bud Shaw, WKYC.com, Dave Bacon, and young sports professional Mike Domanick. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Basement ready for the holidays.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
National Holidays expert Mary here with a list of holidays you won't want to miss. Get your Ohio Lottery Merry Million scratch-offs for National Donut Day, National Have a Party with Your Bear Day, Pickle Day, National Unique Talent Day, Take a Hike Day, and America's favorite, National Jukebox Day. Every day is a reason to celebrate. Grab a Merry Millions and other Ohio Lottery holiday scratch-offs today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, it took us only 3 segments, but everybody here is humming that intro.
Yeah, it's pretty catchy.
Yes, yeah. More Sports and Les Levine. We are at Buffalo Wild Wings on Harvard at I-271. I mentioned sports professionals from radio way back. We've got Steve Spiegel is in the house, and of course Mike Domanick, the young sports professional, and all the way from New Hampshire, everybody's best friend, George Mahori. George, I haven't seen you since the pesky pole at Fenway Park.
Fenway Park, that's right. Well, you guys were talking about one of our favorite sons in New Hampshire, Ryan Day. Yeah, right down the street, University of New Hampshire quarterback, protege of Chip Kelly, who also lives right down the street. So
really,
yeah, we got a little thing going on over there in New Hampshire.
Do they get together and say, George Mahori lives down the street?
Yeah, that doesn't go over real big over there.
I believe you still follow Cleveland sports.
I do. I'm still a Brown season ticket holder. Somehow I make that happen. Exactly, good question. Yeah, so I listen to you guys. I watch you guys. I listen to you when you're on the radio as well. So you can take the boy out of Cleveland, but not Cleveland out of the boy.
Tell me what is most pressing in your mind as far as the Cleveland sports scene right now? What needs to happen?
New football coach. I just look, I wanted Freddie to. I like him. I wanted
Everybody
him to
does.
succeed. I wanted that to work out. But when you see things like, I think the prototypical situation for him was the end of the first half last week. That was, to me, defined the entire season. You're up 6-0. You have a chance to, really hold on to something against the first place team, and you let it slip through your hand because you mismanaged, you called plays poorly, and
What's so maddening about that is that all of the things that had to happen last week happened, except for the Browns beating Baltimore. It sounded funny when you said 8 things have to happen, but you meld it down to 6, 5, 4, whatever it is, and it all happened. I mean, we could be sitting here tonight talking about 4 more things that have to happen, and who knows in the NFL.
And it's really disappointing when I listen to people talk about, we don't want to go through this process again, and but we're not going through the same process, because every other time we've gone through it, we've never had a team this good to go through it with. So if you start anew with a coaching staff, I don't think it's the same thing. It's completely new. We have great players.
Is it fair to say that Freddie, one of 7 new coaches, rookie head coaches, he walked in with the best situation?
Well, at the beginning of the season, you would say yes. But, I think the thing that played out was that not only were a lot of the players new, trying to get to know each other and know the coaches, but the coaching staff really didn't know each other that well either. And they were trying to get to know each other. When you see some of the seasoned coaches come in, they have their guys that they bring. I think that means something.
It turned out Freddie didn't have guys.
No, he didn't have any guys. And I thought they assembled a good group of guys around him on paper, but not knowing each other and trying to work it out. And then you guys were talking about it earlier about the tough schedule at the beginning.
Dave, go ahead.
I think the most damning thing about Freddie Kitchens is this team doesn't have an identity. How do you not have an identity when you've got 2 really good running backs, 2 really good wide receivers, a quarterback that was a number 1 overall pick who was on an upward trajectory? They don't have an identity. That comes back to the coach.
Hard to believe.
One of the things from last week, I didn't think they could lose to the Ravens and that it would hurt Freddie's case. Ravens are really good right now. They're playing the best football. But the end of the first half was such a disaster. And when asked about it, he says he was going to have Kareem Hunt throw this pass, and he even said, I wouldn't have called that if I had to do it over again. And you think, okay, he's owning a mistake. And then he says in the next breath, if it felt complete, I was going to go for it on 4th down. And somebody asked him, you were going to go for it? They were at their own 28, leading 6-0. Why would you do that? So there are just these moments where you just think he just doesn't get it.
Well, John Dorsey has to be sending an email saying, please only answer what you're asked. Do not elaborate.
All of you guys must now know why I apply for that time manager job every time there's a change.
I mean, some of that stuff is just, I don't know how you explain it, and I'm sure he's going to have to sit down and explain it to ownership and Dorsey at the end of the season.
I don't think John Dorsey is necessarily going to fire him, and I think it's a mistake not to.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Everything has gone the opposite way of what you thought it would. And that comes back to him.
George, anything else? You came this distance, you may as well say something else if you got it.
No, you were talking about the identity. I think it's pretty interesting that you don't have an identity, yet you have the guy who leads the league in rushing. So if you really focused on him and you ran plays, in your entire offense, what would that guy really have done this year? Would have been really interesting.
And a guy who is, by all opinion, the best guy on the team.
Right.
The teammate that everybody wants, every coach loves, the guy who flips the ball to, not that I don't care about the celebrations, that's all fine, but He's not a squeaky wheel. If he gets 3 carries in the first half against Cincinnati, he's not going to go in the locker room and get in Freddie's face and say, "Where's the ball?"
No. You know the other thing along those lines? How about the job Hunt's done? I knew Hunt could run the ball. I knew he could catch. He's the equivalent of a blocking fullback and happy to do it.
Yeah.
All right, we are at Buffalo Wild Wings on Harvard Road at I-271. What do you guys think of my friend George, everybody's best friend George? Bud's going to give you a grade.
Oh, there you go.
9-0.
I can't even see that far.
9-0.
Nicely done.
Excellent. What do you have? George Mahori, your thoughts?
9-0.
Dave.
Dave doesn't give.
Valid points. Really good. Really good
Lester,
Browns fan.
You still only have to do like 3.5 good shows a week.
3.65 good shows per week. That's all I have to do. When I was on 38 streets in half of Canton. Tri-C is where you got to go. They've got over 1,000 programs for you. And go to tri-c.edu for more information. Presque Isle. You want to go there? Sports betting is legal and up and going. You want to bet on Ohio State? Dave, you've been there. You did a show there last week. How good is that place?
It's really nice. You kiosks all over the place. It's touchscreen betting.
And they
put
give
your
you
money in, and your ticket comes out.
And they give you more money back than you would ever imagine. Presque Isle, just 90 minutes from downtown Cleveland. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively from Buffalo Wild Wings right here on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les Levine exclusively on cleveland.com. We are at Harvard Road at I-271. Buffalo Wild Wings, our home around the Christmas and New Year's time. Bud Shaw, WKYC.com. Dave Bacon from, what are you from?
Just here.
Just here. All right. He's from I-271. And
Man About Town.
Man About Town. And Mr. Gullible is here, who just did a costume change. Hello, Mr. Gullible.
Hi, Les. I have a quickie and a question.
All right, go ahead. They both start with Q. Go ahead.
All right. How come the future of glass coffins remains to be seen?
Bud?
I downgraded him. It's a little morbid. Okay?
It's a little morbid. He doesn't like morbidity.
I understand.
We had one the other night. I don't think you were there, from Mr. John Patrick. He says, how come I'm not an organ donor, but I did give a piano to the
Salvation Army.
Salvation Army. I only forgot the end of it. I forget the delivery of it. What do you give that one?
Well, they're called quickies, sir.
John Patrick is the best. I bow to him.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right.
My question.
Yeah.
How far along in the planning, or is it already determined that Major League Baseball is going to eliminate the rookie leagues, the New York Penn League, the Pioneer League, and what does that do to the draft if there's no short season?
First of all, Mr. Gullible is a huge fan. How many games do you see in a year? Minor league games do you see in a year?
Well, in a year,
Yeah.
I go to about 130 games a year, minor league and major league.
Wow.
I've been to every major league ballpark, 150 minor league ballparks.
Wow.
every
Well,
NFL
you would know
student.
better than we don't.
Well,
but-
I have not.
And that's all married to a woman that hates baseball.
It is. I don't think it's been decided. The minor league are pushing back for obvious reasons. The more Rob Manfred gets involved in things, the more I wish he'd concentrate on. I mean, if Rob Manfred really wants to fix his game, figure out how to make it so that everybody spends similar on their rosters.
And
I'm not talking about a salary cap, but make it so that you're constructing the roster the same way, and that's on equal footing.
Well,
and he continues to ignore that, and now we're going to change so three batter minimum, and now we're going to tinker with the minor leagues.
Well, here's what he's going to say about that.
He continues to ignore the biggest problem his game
right,
has.
but he's going to say that they can't grandfather. I guess they'd have to grandfather some guys in. Some of the big contracts, the multi-million dollar contracts. That would have a problem in your suggestion about
Dave,
fixing that part of the game.
I mean, isn't the issue that the players will never go for it? I mean, aren't his hands tied in that regard?
I don't necessarily know. Will the players never go for it? The average salary in Major League Baseball is down again. So they're catering to the high end, and they're eliminating the middle class, and everything is. I saw again just recently, second year in a row that the average salary in Major League Baseball has declined
considerably.
Didn't give specifics,
yeah,
but. But that's not good if you're the Players Association. The fact that 25 people are making 30% of the salary, that's not good.
No, it isn't. Mr. Gullible, how about the Mahoney Valleys of the world and all that? That hurts these small towns who
It
don't
does.
have
I'm from that area originally. Yes.
Right.
It hurts development of the players too.
Correct.
So the draft, the players coming out of college will just play in independent leagues until the following year.
I think what the thought process is that you streamline it. So what it will be is you will have the draft picks will funnel in to A. You'd move them up quicker, and then you'd end up with independent leagues kind of funneling into A ball. Is the thought behind it?
Well, they got to be
I don't
controlled
see
by
it.
the major league teams, don't they? I mean, the coaches and managers, I assume.
They would. I think what you would end up doing if you're eliminating that level of player, you'd be drafting fewer players, and then you would have to develop them in an independent league before they came into.
Right.
Mike was too shy to ask. He wanted me to ask about robo-umps.
I hate the idea of it. How about you guys?
I haven't seen it enough to know.
Well, there isn't enough to see. Well, you were a pitcher. How would you like it? You get the right call, I guess.
Exactly. It depends. Which ump are we replacing?
I don't really feel strongly about it.
Yeah,
I mean, I see some games that are called so poorly.
Yes.
From a home plate umpire standpoint, that it makes you pine for some consistency.
And again, that was never a problem because you never had the level of technology that you have now, where it's straight behind home plate and you can tell.
Mike Domanick is back. We only have guys like Mike at that mic.
So how are you going to get thrown out for arguing balls and strikes now if there's a robo?
It actually has happened where somebody in a robo true story. Somebody did get thrown out for arguing with the. You
don't want to kick dirt on
in the Atlantic League where they use them.
So is baseball going to end up looking like robo umps? Extra inning games start with a runner on second base. I mean, what's next?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the way the commissioner's going, I am not a big fan of Rob Manfred.
How does the robo umpire get out of the way when there's a play at the plate?
Well,
to see
I guess bigger question is what do they think they're accomplishing with this? I mean, because usually you're trying to get more interest in your game. Is that what this is doing?
No, this is trying to get the call right, I assume.
I think that the thought behind the robo-umps is getting the call right. The thought behind 3-batter minimum is it will speed up the game because of all the pitching changes and matchup changes. But again, you're throwing deck chairs off the Titanic at that point because not everybody constructs a team under equal rules. Not everybody has a chance to win
Right.
a championship. There's usually 7 teams, maybe most.
How much time have they saved by signaling the guy to go to first on an intentional pass?
I'm guessing it's minutes. Their goal is to get it under a 3-minute average per game.
Can't we bring the bullpen cart back and get them to the mound quicker and save time that way?
Did they
soup it up so they can drive 30 or 40?
At any time this past season, was there ever an enforcement of that pitch clock?
I don't think it was. I think this year it was they were doing it to make people aware of it. At some point in time, they were going to start enforcing it. Their intention, I don't think, was to enforce it this year. It was to potentially bring it in when they bring in the 3-batter minimum.
So it was just a suggestion like using cutlery when you eat instead of your hands.
Exactly.
Okay.
I've seen the clock out there, and once the game starts, if I want to look at it again, I have trouble locating it. I mean, if it's aimed at getting people to be aware of it, it's not doing a very good job.
Yeah. You know what? The thing that's going to be very interesting with baseball is the labor agreement ends 2021. They don't have. They have a former player as the head of the
Tony
Players
Clark.
Association. Again, bright guy by all, but if I was a player, I want a lawyer like Marvin Miller, Donald Fair. You know, I mean, because this system is not working for anybody.
I'll tell you what system does.
Other than the top 25 guys.
The system that works is Alex from Northeast Factory Direct. That system works. He started out 20 years ago in a garage in Lakewood. One piece of furniture. Look what he's turned it into. 4 great locations if you include the great website, which you have to check out. And it's east and west and is now south in Macedonia. 3 great locations plus the website, northeastfactorydirect.com. You're going to save plenty of money, more than half price you'll save on almost every item in the store. Check it out, Northeast Factory Direct. Sokolowski's University Inn. Mike and I go there quite often, and there's no place better. It's the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award. It's open 11 to 3 Monday through Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. There's nothing. People say, "What do you eat there?" It doesn't matter. Whatever you eat is going to be as good as anything you've ever had. Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. We're at the Buffalo Wild Wings on Harvard Road. That's at I-271. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your garage ready for the holidays.
We had some cracks in the floor. We needed to enhance the beauty of it. That's when we called Nature Stone.
Nature Stone corrects uneven concrete, so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les Levine exclusively at Buffalo Wild Wings on at I-271 on Harvard Road. Were you able to get the punchline in today?
I did. I made it.
Absolute true story.
I told it
that.
quicker than some of your How Come Quickies.
Yeah, I understand.
Wow.
Should we go talk to Chuck from Masery?
Yeah.
Standing by. Let's go see what Chuck and Masery is doing. Hello, Chuck.
Hello, guys. Well, first of all, Mike said he hasn't heard this, so I'll run it past you. The Browns need to visit Northeast Factory Direct, and you know why, right? Because they need to get a new kitchen.
Hey.
But anyway, you can use that anytime.
Please don't throw stuff, people. Please.
Yeah. Hey, what I wanted to talk about is you guys alluded to it as the Mahoning Valley situation. Yeah, I live there, and they just sunk millions of dollars into a new scoreboard. They just sent millions of dollars into the clubhouse. So what do you do to that owner that's put a couple $1 million last year into the field and say after next year you're done? How do the major leagues pacify that owner?
They don't.
No, that's it's.
That's why we have lawyers.
It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know that that Manfred's going to be able to do that. We'll see. I mean, it kind of coincides with the end of the labor agreement as well. And I know that I can't imagine that the major league teams don't want the developmental.
Right. Just
advantage of having 5 or 6 teams as opposed to 3.
Right. Just to clear this up, the major league teams are responsible for all of the player contracts.
The signing bonuses. There's like a stipend that guys get, and it's based on short season. It's based on the level.
Right.
It's not a lot of money.
We keep hearing that there might be some type of independent team coming there if they lose their affiliation with the major league teams. And one last question. This one's kind of aimed towards Bud. With your Philadelphia years, Bud, is Rich Allen, is he a Hall of Famer?
Boy, I during those years he was there, he was like Albert Bell here, the guy that you couldn't take your eyes off of because he was going to do something. Now, sometimes that was like drawing a curse word in the dirt with his spikes while he was playing first base. I haven't looked at his numbers that recently, but I had that feeling that he's just not quite there. And I know some people feel very strongly that he should be in.
I think he was one of those players, though, even in the 70s when he was with the White Sox. He had that one phenomenal year where he was MVP, where he was with Chuck Tanner. He struck fear into pitchers as an opposing player.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure some of these Hall of Famers that have gotten in the last few years.
That's fair.
I'm not going to downplay Harold Baines, but I don't think Harold Baines has struck any fear into opposing pitchers like Richie Allen.
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys, it feels like it's that Lifetime Achievement Award. And with guys like him, they had such a great impact on the game, and that should be taken into account.
Alan Trammell comes to mind for me.
For Lifetime Achievement?
Yeah. No question about it.
And I don't know where you guys feel Omar fits into that discussion, whether he's also, if he gets in, will it be because he played as long as he did?
Is Ozzie Smith in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then Omar Vizquel should be
Yes.
there.
I think, as somebody
By
that
the way, I knew that answer.
I had the chance to see him play. If you had the chance to see him play regularly.
Every day.
There was always something that he did that you just go, how did he do it? Things that wouldn't show up
There
in
should
his
be
stat sheet.
an Omar Vizquel Hall of Fame by itself.
The other thing is, a guy that plays short or second or center field or catcher should be judged a little differently based on their defense.
Absolutely.
And I think what hurt Omar, and it wasn't, I think we now know that he was playing at a time when there were such gifted offensive players at that position. And we know now that why some of them were so gifted.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come on back one more time. Thanks to Chuck for Masery. The voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you can't get to us on the phone when we're on the air live from 6 until 7, Monday through Friday, you can also always leave an email for us, and we'll get it on the air. The voicemail of Truth and Reason is where you can find us. We will take a break. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. They've got 6 o'clock post times throughout the week. It's free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. We're coming back one more time from Buffalo Wild Wings on Harvard Road at I-271.
It's your basement ready for the holidays.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Presque Isle is a place, Dave's been there, his broadcasts from there, and you want to place a wager on Ohio State or anybody else for that matter, you can do it at Presque Isle. And they've got the big New Year's Eve party coming up on, when is New Year's Eve this year?
That would be Tuesday?
That would be Tuesday night.
Yeah,
Tuesday
Tuesday.
night.
The 31st.
31st of what month? Of the month of December. I want to thank everybody for being here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's wrap it up. You each have about a minute we talk about the recent past of Cleveland sports scene. Tell me about the future. Bud Shaw first.
First, I want to say I don't want to besmirch Richie Allen. He didn't draw a curse word in the dirt. He used his spikes to write the letter boo in the dirt at first base.
Okay.
But Dave and I just looked. He had 3 seasons where he had over 100 RBI, which is fine, which is probably not enough to get him there over a 14-year career. So I'm sorry, what was your question?
My question, if I can remember it, was what do you look for in the near future, like the year 2020?
I'm hesitant to say because I thought this was the year we were going to be talking about a Browns playoff game.
Yeah.
And so I'll stick to that. I still think the talent's here. I still believe Mayfield is the right quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be Lamar Jackson. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be. But I think they're in the playoffs, and I think the Indians will have a contend for a playoff spot again. I think
Dave Bacon, what do you think?
I think the Indians have fallen behind in the American League Central. I like what both the White Sox and the Twins have done. I think the additions the White Sox made are really nice. They added Keuchel as pitcher, too.
Yeah,
forgot about that.
In addition to Grindel. And the Browns, I think if John Dorsey makes a move and gets a better head coach, they're a playoff team. If they have Freddie Kitchens, I don't think it gets it done. I just don't see it with him.
Unless they expand the playoff roster. Sports professional Mike Domanick, you got about a half a minute.
I predict that we'll have 3 Major League Sports teams in Cleveland in 2020.
But you're not going to go any further with that.
One of which you'll be happy with. Yeah. That's usually the percentage.
One quick question. Who gets into the Hall of Fame first, Art Modell or Omar Vizquel?
Ooh.
I have a feeling they're putting Art Modell in for the 100th, the centennial thing.
I do too. I agree with Dave on that.
And I don't really like it.
It's interesting that Bill Belichick gets to vote on it, and he was hired and fired by Art Modell.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Colleen here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Thanks to Bud Shaw, WKYC.com. Dave Bacon, Classic Sports. How about that?
That'll work.
And the classic guy, Mike Domanick, a former young sports professional, now just a regular sports professional. Thank you, Michael. That'll do it for us. We'll see you on Monday night. Well, we'll see you on Monday night. I don't know who's going to be here with me, but somebody will. We'll broadcast from 6 until 7 as we do each and every night. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.